On September 11, 2021, as the United States commemorated the victims of the terrorist attacks from 20 years prior, Nicolai Schmidt walked into Suffolk County's 5th Precinct Police Station to report the disappearance of her daughter, Gabby Petito, who had been out of contact for 10 days. What happened to Gabby? Join us as we explore a case that gripped the nation's attention more than 3 years ago. Gabby Petito, a 22-year-old from Long Island, New York, was a vibrant young woman with a passion for exploration. With her blonde hair and bright blue eyes, she always dreamed of adventure. Gabby loved the freedom of life, enjoyed painting, and shared her joy through social media. In 2021, she decided to embark on a cross-country trip across the U.S. with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, in a small white van. This wasn't just a trip. It was a journey for Gabby to build a career as a blogger, documenting the beautiful moments of van life, the nomadic lifestyle she adored. Gabby and Brian met in high school in New York. After graduating, they began dating and quickly became inseparable. In 2019, Gabby moved to Florida to live with Brian and his family. They got engaged in July 2020, marking their love with matching tattoos. To prepare for the trip, Gabby worked at Taco Bell, while Brian worked at a public supermarket. Together, they saved money, renovated the van, and planned a 4 to 5 month adventure to explore America's natural wonders. On July 2, 2021, the journey began. Gabby frequently posted photos and videos on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, showing a happy couple amid stunning landscapes. From Utah's fields to the Grand Teton Mountains, she shared her joy with family and friends. Her mother, Nicole Schmidt, recalled, "Gabby called and sent pictures almost every day. I was so proud of her." But behind those bright photos, no one suspected that a tragedy was quietly brewing, poised to shatter the dreams of this spirited young woman. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie's journey started with promise. But just over a month in, cracks in their relationship began to show. On August 12, 2021, while in Moab, Utah, near Arches National Park, the couple was stopped by police following a 911 call reporting a domestic violence incident. The caller said they saw Brian slap Gabby, after which the two ran back and forth on the sidewalk before driving off.
Hi, I'm calling to report a domestic dispute. They just drove off. What were they doing? We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her? Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off. All right, I will let somebody know. Thank you.
Police soon located the white van driving erratically outside Arches and pulled them over. Body camera footage showed Gabby sobbing while Brian appeared calm. Gabby explained they'd been arguing all morning because she was stressed about building her blog. She admitted to slapping Brian and downplayed the altercation.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, some days I have really bad OCD, and I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, "I'm sorry that I'm so mean," because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him, I just like, I guess my vibe is like, I hear him be like in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I used to work at an organic juice bar, but I just quit my job.
Okay.
I was a nutritionist. That was my job.
Cool.
And I just quit my job to travel across the country. And I'm trying to start a blog. I have a blog and stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed, and he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been like I don't know, he's like down there. I don't know, we've just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of
your
OCD?
Told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time, and he really stresses me out, and this is a rough morning.
We sympathize with you, but based on what you've said and based on what our witness has said, and even based on what your fiance has mentioned, trying his very hardest not to have you in any trouble, he does have marks on him that witnesses say were caused by you slapping him. and that even you say you slapped him and were aggressing him first. And I don't have anyone saying that he actually punched you aggressively. When you slapped him those times, were you attempting to cause him physical pain or physical impairment? Was that what you were attempting to do to him?
No.
What were you attempting to do? What was the reason behind the slapping and stuff? What was it you were attempting to accomplish by slapping?
I was trying to get him to stop telling me to come in.
Well, it doesn't sound to me like she attempted to injure him.
Brian said Gabby attacked him, leaving scratches on his face and arms, and that he only pushed her away to create space and calm her down.
Tell me what's going on.
She just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her. So, like, I locked the car and I walked away from her. What happened this morning is that she's trying to start up like her own little website blog and everything. So I give her time. And we really had a nice morning, if anything. But she just got worked up because we were trying to get going and get our day going because we want to go like arches or something like that.
Okay. You want to tell me about those scratches on your face?
She had a cell phone in her hand. That's why I was pushing her away, because she wanted me. I locked the keys so I could walk away. I said, let's just take a breather and let's not, go anywhere. Let's just calm down for a minute. She was getting worked up, and then she had her phone and was trying to get the keys. So that way, I was just trying to. I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push her away to go. Let's just take a minute, step back, and breathe. And she got me with her phone.
Can I see your hand? Oh, you got a mark right here.
Oh, that's from a wire.
That's from a wire?
Yeah. I didn't get. I don't want to push you, but I didn't get overtly physical. I was just trying to keep her away and not get hit. And then I got really loud, and that's probably whoever's attention where I was going. Back up, get away, just give me a.
Okay, so you said you pushed her to create some distance, obviously, right? What happened after that? What got the scratches on your eye?
The phone.
The phone. So you pushed her and she hit you?
She was. It wasn't like a push, and she jumped on me. She was already. I don't want to. She was already swinging, and I was pushing. A lot of angles, a lot of nails, a lot of rings.
A second witness reported seeing Brian push Gabby, unsure if it was an attack or self-defense. Despite signs of violence, police made no arrests. They deemed Gabby the primary aggressor, but instead of pressing charges, ordered the couple to separate for the night. Gabby kept the van, and Brian was taken to a hotel.
All right, but this is what I do have to do. I am separating with you tonight. Okay? I want you guys both to be tonight away from each other, relax, breathe, crying, because there's no reason to be crying now, okay? I understand that this can feel like it's a nightmare, but you're coming out as the golden flower on top of it, okay? So, you're going to be taking the van tonight, and you're going to go somewhere else. I am going to get him lined up with a hotel room tonight. I want you guys to stay away from each other. For both of you guys' sake. From what you told me and what he told me, you guys have a bunch of little things that are building up, and finally the little string that you guys were tight walking on broke tonight. Does that sound about right? So, I just want everybody to breathe, get a chance away from each other, go eat a meal, talk to your parents, whatever it is you got to do.
In hindsight, many wonder, was this a missed chance to save Gabby? Forensic psychologist Chris Mahandi remarked, the police tried to help, but they didn't recognize signs of prolonged domestic violence. Gabby repeatedly apologized to Brian and took the blame, behavior often seen in victims of psychological control. The Moab stop seemed like a minor hiccup, but it turned out to be a warning of what lay ahead on this fateful journey. After the Moab incident, on August 17th, Brian flew from Salt Lake City to Tampa, Florida, to handle some business, leaving Petito behind. He later returned to reunite with Gabby, and they continued their trip northward. Earlier, on August 19th, 2021, Gabby posted an 8-minute YouTube video compiling their happy moments. She beamed under the Utah sun, showing no trace of the earlier tension. Gabby called her mother, Nicole Schmidt, saying they were leaving Utah for Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. She was so excited, Nicole recalled. I could hear the joy in her voice. On August 25th, Gabby made her final Instagram post, photos in front of a butterfly mural in Ogden, Utah. It was her last public trace. 2 days later, on August 27th, Nicole received an odd text from Gabby's phone. "Can you help Stan? I keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." Stan was Gabby's grandfather, but she never referred to him by name like that. Nicole found it strange but assumed her daughter was busy on the road. After August 29th, 2021, Gabby Petito seemed to vanish from the radar. Her mother, Nicole Schmidt, grew worried when the regular texts and calls stopped. On August 30th, a final message came from Gabby's number. "No service in Yosemite," but oddly, Gabby had never mentioned going to Yosemite, and the text didn't sound like her. Nicole wondered, was that really Gabby? Meanwhile, Gabby's best friend, Rose Davis, didn't receive the promised birthday call on August 29th. "I thought she was busy traveling, but by September 8th or 9th, I started feeling uneasy," Rose said. Unbeknownst to anyone, on September 1st, Brian Laundrie drove the white van back to his home in Northport, Florida, alone. He said nothing to Gabby's family or explained where she was. The Petito family, still in the dark, tried contacting Brian and his parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie, but got only silence. "I called, I texted, but no one responded," Nicole recalled painfully. By September 10th, after 10 days of no news, Nicole reported Gabby missing to the police. On September 11th, Gabby was officially declared missing. That same day, police visited the Laundrie home and learned Brian had been there since early September. The van, once a symbol of their shared dream, was now solely in Brian's possession. He refused to cooperate, directing police to his family's lawyer, who advised silence. Brian's mysterious return raised suspicions. What happened to Gabby? Why wouldn't he talk? The Petito family was left in despair as the nation began to take notice of this heartbreaking story, sparking a massive search across media and social platforms. On September 11th, 2021, when Gabby Petito was declared missing, her family sprang into action. Her mother, Nicole Schmidt, father Joe Petito, and step-parents Jim and Tara refused to sit idly by. They created a Find Gabby social media page, pleading for information. "We just want Gabby, not the van, not both, just her," Nicole said tearfully to the press. The story spread rapidly, evolving from a personal disappearance into a national focal point. The media covered it extensively. By September 13th, Gabby's image was on every news outlet, from ABC to CBS. "A New York girl missing on a cross-country trip with her fiancé," headlines read, piquing widespread curiosity. But what set this case apart was social media, turning it into a phenomenon. Millions, from friends like Rose Davis to strangers, shared posts and dissected Gabby's Instagram photos. "I made a TikTok about Gabby right away, hoping someone would see it," Rose said. The online community became an army of detectives, scouring every detail for clues. Witnesses who'd encountered Gabby and Brian came forward. On August 27th, at Grand Teton, travelers Matt England and Nina Angelo spotted Gabby and Brian at a Mexican restaurant in Wyoming. Gabby looked emotional, her eyes red, apologizing to staff for Brian's angry demeanor. "He was irritable, and it made me uncomfortable," as Nina recalled. Gabby seemed at her breaking point.
"We were actually at a lunch. It was our first full day in Wyoming, and we just by chance happened to walk into this little Mexican restaurant. Gabby was very clearly emotional. She was crying. Brian was evidently angry. He was, I would say he had a temper. And that's when I kind of started to take notice, like, wow, this guy is really, and I told Matt, my exact words were, he's creeping me out."
I just remember that she was crying and was talking with the hostess, and it appeared she was apologizing or about that for his behavior.
His demeanor, he was angry, and it was temperamental, and it was rude. It's just, yeah, and it was enough to make me feel uncomfortable. I think the best way to describe Gabby in that moment is she seemed extremely emotionally overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's true.
Like she seemed like, the best way I could describe it is Gabby seemed like she was at her breaking point. And not only did we see them, but we saw an altercation, right? So that paints a really clear picture of both of their personalities.
This may have been the last time Gabby was seen alive. After that, all contact with her faded. On August 29th, a passerby, Miranda Baker, said she and her boyfriend gave Brian a ride in Grand Teton. He was alone, claiming Gabby was back at the van working. When he realized they weren't going his way, Brian panicked and got out immediately.
Hi, my name is Miranda Baker, and on August 29th, my boyfriend and I picked up Brian at Grand Teton National Park at 5:30 at night at Coulter Bay. I'm hoping this can help someone identify him because I saw him from TikTok, which then made me call the authorities, and my boyfriend and I have been in contact with a bunch of different people to help piece together different parts of this case. But we picked him up at Coulter Bay, like I said, at 5:30. He approached us asking us for a ride because he needed to go to Jackson, which we were going to Jackson that night. So I said, hop in. He hopped in the back of my Jeep. We then, proceeded to make small talk. But before he came in the car, he offered to pay us like $200 to give him a ride, like 10 miles. So that was kind of weird. He then told us he's been camping for multiple days without his fiance. He did say he had a fiance, and that she was working on their social media page back at their van. Then once, in conversation, I brought up, we're going to Jackson. He freaked out. He's like, nope, I need to get out right now. Pull over. So we pulled over at the Jackson Dam, which I don't know if you know Teton Park, but it's not very far from Coulter Bay. And if this does reach people, I can post pictures of exactly where we were. We picked him up and the whole route or whatever, and screenshots of the timestamps. We dropped him off at 6:09 p.m. on August 29th. He kind of hurried out of the car, and then he's like, okay, I'm just gonna go find someone else to hitchhike. And we're like, okay. It was a weird situation. So when we picked him up, he was wearing a backpack, he had a long sleeve pants, hiking boots, and he had scruff, but he didn't look dirty. For someone who was camping for multiple days, he didn't look dirty, he didn't smell dirty, so that part was kind of weird. And I'm just really hoping that they find her, and this helps someone remember seeing him, or something like that.
Where was Gabby then? The question lingered, hinting at a grim outcome. Meanwhile, Brian remained silent in Florida. Northport police labeled him a person of interest, but couldn't force him to talk since he wasn't yet a suspect. The Laundrie family refused to cooperate, communicating only through their lawyer. This infuriated the Petitos. Joe Petito fumed. He was going to marry her, and he won't say a word? Brian's silence fueled public curiosity and anger. Pressure mounted as police surveilled him, setting up cameras around his home. But no one anticipated that, as the nation searched for Gabby, Brian would soon vanish too, steering the case in a new direction. As the search for Gabby Petito intensified, Brian Laundrie suddenly disappeared. On September 13th, 2021, police saw Brian's car leave and return to his home by September 15th. On September 17th, his family told Northport police that Brian had left days earlier to hike in the Carlton Reserve, a 24,000-acre swampy expanse near Sarasota, Florida, with a backpack, and hadn't returned. Police launched a massive search, deploying over 50 officers, the FBI, drones, and swamp boats. But the treacherous, mostly flooded terrain made it like finding a needle in a haystack. Meanwhile, in Wyoming, the effort to find Gabby hit a breakthrough thanks to social media. Kyle and Jen Bethune, a traveling couple, reviewed GoPro footage from their late August trip through Grand Teton. They realized they'd unintentionally captured Gabby and Brian's white van parked roadside on August 27th. I got chills when I realized it was Gabby's van, Jen said. They sent the video to the FBI and posted it online.
And what stood out to us was that it had Florida license plates on it. And we were from Florida. And so we wanted to say hi, but it looked very dark. Everything was closed up. We just assumed that maybe they were out hiking.
Hours later, on September 19th, the FBI announced they'd found a body at the Spread Creek campsite, near where the van was spotted. It matched Gabby's description. An autopsy revealed she died from blunt force trauma to the head and neck, along with manual strangulation. The missing person case became a homicide investigation The Petito family received the devastating news from the FBI that day. Joe Petito recalled painfully, "I was never prepared for that moment. I just hoped Gabby was gazing at the mountains, finding some final peace." The nation was stunned. Her father tweeted simply, "She touched the world." As grief engulfed the Petitos, a major question lingered. Where was Brian, and what did he know about Gabby's death? On September 23rd, the U.S. District Court in Wyoming issued an arrest warrant for Laundrie for illegally using Petito's debit card to withdraw over $1,000 between August 30th and September 1st. After Gabby Petito's body was found, all eyes turned to Brian Laundrie, the only one who could shed light on the case. The search for him in the Carlton Reserve continued under strain. On October 20th, 2021, after 37 days missing, the FBI announced they'd found human remains, a backpack, and a notebook in the area. An autopsy confirmed it was Brian, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot to the head.
Investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie.
Nearby, in a waterproof bag, his notebook revealed a chilling, partial truth. Brian wrote, "I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, what she wanted, but now I see I was wrong." He claimed Gabby fell while crossing a stream, was in severe pain, and he helped end her suffering. But many doubted this account. Psychologist Chris Mohandy said, "It's a self-justifying narrative, showing selfishness and narcissism." He wanted to control how others saw him, even in death. No one knows exactly what happened on August 27th in Grand Teton, but it's clear Gabby was killed by Brian before he fled. Brian's death dashed hopes of a trial, leaving the Petitos in anguish and anger. "I don't care what he wrote in that notebook," Joe Petito said. "It doesn't change that Gabby's gone." Meanwhile, the Laundrie family stayed silent, fueling public outrage. With Brian's death, the criminal case closed, leaving unanswered questions. Why did he do it? Did his family know anything? Brian Laundrie's death didn't end the story. It sparked debate over his parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie. The Petitos believed the Laundries knew Brian killed Gabby and hid the truth. According to attorney Patrick Riley, the FBI determined Gabby was killed on August 27, 2021. On August 28th, Brian had a long call with his parents, and the next day they contacted a lawyer. "Why call a lawyer so fast if nothing was wrong?" Riley asked. The Petitos sued the Laundries for emotional distress, alleging they knew where Gabby's body was, but said nothing. A shocking detail emerged. A letter from Roberta Laundrie to Brian found in FBI evidence. It read, "If you go to jail, I'll bake a cake with a file in it," with the envelope marked "Burn after reading." Attorney Mary Fulginiti noted, if the timing of that letter is proven, it could show her intent to protect Brian. The Laundries denied the claims, asserting they had no legal duty to tell anyone, including the Petitos. The Petitos also sued the Moab Police Department over the August 12th stop. They argued that better training and adherence to Utah law, mandating arrests in domestic violence cases, might have saved Gabby. An independent report later found police erred by not arresting anyone, ignoring the 911 witness and Gabby's injuries. Moab pledged to improve training, but maintained officers acted in good faith. These lawsuits sought justice for Gabby and raised broader questions about accountability in this tragedy. Though Gabby Petito is gone, her story left a lasting mark. Her family turned their pain into action, founding the Gabby Petito Foundation to aid missing person searches and raise domestic violence awareness. "If Gabby's story saves even one person, it's worth it," Joe Petito said. Nicole told the Associated Press that many thanked them, saying Gabby's case gave them courage to leave toxic relationships. "That's our biggest victory," she said, choking up. The case exposed societal gaps in addressing domestic violence. The Moab incident was telling. Gabby cried and blamed herself while Brian stayed calm. Classic signs of a victim and controller. Psychologist Chris Mohandy noted, if police had recognized this, things might have been different. The case spurred discussions on law enforcement training and victim support, especially for young women like Gabby. It also raised questions about media attention. Journalist Brian Enton observed, Gabby was young, pretty, and white. That made her case stand out. But what about others who don't get noticed? Still, social media's role in finding Gabby showed the power of collective action. From Kyle and Jen Bethune's video to millions of posts, the public helped unravel the mystery. Gabby's legacy isn't just sorrow, it's a wake-up call to listen, act, and not ignore danger signs. She touched the world, not just through her van life dream, but through a costly lesson in love, loss, and hope. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, subscribe to us to follow more videos. Thank you.